Welcome back to the Evolution of Success podcast. On today's show, we have Cindy Ertman. Cindy is a high-performance coach, a best-selling author, and she is a speaker, loads of different things. Cindy also starred in the Evolution of Success, and I'm really looking forward to just hearing how she's getting through everything right now, where her head's at, and just how things are going and where she lives and what's going on. Hi, Cindy. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Hi, Matthew. So great to be with you guys today.
So, Cindy, you're based out in the States, in California. With everything that's going on right now in the world, what is your take on it, and how there, as I talked about before, there has been a domino effect on how this is moving around the world, and people are taking it seriously at different times. Whenever you first heard about this virus, for example, or the situation that's happening, did you click into it straight away, or how are you doing with it?
Well, I think now I've settled into it without question. I think as most of us, I don't think I took it very seriously at first. I thought it was very over dramatized by the media and the press. And that was definitely my mindset as well. But fortunately, being involved in Jack Canfield's Transformational Leadership Council and, just being around influencers on a fairly regular basis and started to hear from people that I really trust. And so very quickly got my arms around that we needed to take this very, very seriously, and that as an influencer, I need to do my part to bring voice to that. I have in addition to being a high performance coach, my background was in the mortgage industry for 30 years, and I played a very big game in the mortgage space. And so with what's going on now in the financial climate, which has really devastated once again the financial and mortgage markets, it's just to see the ripple effect of what this has created on every level. And it's just, we are all touched by this in so many ways. But I just really felt, I started calling people that I knew still had their companies in full swing with everybody at the office, and started calling leaders saying, I'm going to encourage you to make a different choice. And that was a hard call to make. But at the end of the day, I really believe that sort of this secluded, state that we're in is a really good thing to get this under control. And also, through all of it gives us some new opportunities to decide how we want to show up in the face of adversity. And that's really, adversity creates a lot of opportunity for a lot of people if we get our minds straight around it and we lean to the opportunity side instead of the fear side.
Yeah, I think that was really brilliant of you to make that call, because, you reached out to people that you totally trust, and you then pass that on to people that really trust are invested in you as well. So that's great. Well, good call on that one. Yeah, I know we've had lengthy chats, and especially through the Evolution of Success, I know your complete background, so you mentioned that you're in the financial space, but you're also like a mindset expert and reframing your mind and stuff like that as well. For people that are sort of find themselves in this incubation state, and they've got possibly 21 days, 30 days, God knows how long really, how can they use this time to be productive?
Well, look, I'm just going to be honest. Last Friday, I found myself having my own little kind of private pity party. I run a coaching and training company. So I had just hired a new staff person, a new project manager. And, I started looking at my own situation saying, is it time for me right now to scale back and maybe eliminate some of my staff and maybe just do one-on-one coaching and kind of drop myself backwards instead of continuing to move forward. And that lasted for a few hours. And then I woke up Saturday morning and I thought, that has never been who I've been in the world, and it's not who I want to be in the world right now. So the one thing I would encourage everyone to do is to really work on rising above it mentally. And that's what I decided to do, is to put all my years of personal development experience into play and get very serious about my daily routines. And I've been a big fan as a success strategist for many years of having a morning routine. And right now, more than ever, we've got to be very intentional about how we are fueling our brain and our body. And so, putting it into play personally, I got up and I got on my treadmill, which I haven't been on my treadmill in a long time in my house because I usually get outside to do my exercise. But I got on my treadmill. I did my weights in my loft. I went and made a very healthy shake. I got all my supplementation out that I decided I needed during this time, and taking vitamin D and taking a multivitamin and vitamin C and probiotics. And I just really formulated my own health strategy for, number one, how I was going to not only nourish my mind, but nourish my body to stay healthy and get very focused on making sure that my immune system stays strong, because my life is spent, every single day empowering other people to not only be successful in their business, but also to be the best version of themselves. And so I think we've got to start with ourselves, because it's very hard to even be a great example to our families or to our business teams or to our business and our clients if we aren't taking care of ourselves first. So I think it's time to go inward here and really work personally on how we can be stronger, because attitude is everything. And being committed to let go of negativity, being committed to lead our own life from the standpoint of strength instead of fear, those are really choices. And, Maya Angelou has a quote that I love, which is really like, you can't stand in fear and hope at the same time. So the reality is we can only stand if we got to choose. So I just decided to choose hope. And I decided to go big or go home. So I went all in from the standpoint, I am not going to play small. I'm going to play big right now, because I think there's huge opportunity for each and every one of us to not only expand business models into new ways, but also to expand our life in new ways and to start to learn how to show up and move through adversity. And as you know, Matthew, Jack Canfield, who's in the Evolution of Success, has been my mentor for many years. In fact, I'm speaking with him today. And, his favorite principle that I learned, I didn't just learn it, I embodied it. His E+R=O, which is events plus response equals outcome. And to really embody that principle right now, we can't control this event, but we can certainly control how we respond to that event to create the outcome that we desire. So I'm very much lead my life from that place of how do I want to respond in this time of crisis. And I want to rise to be the best version of Cindy Ertman that I could be, and to help other people do the same.
Yeah, I think that's great, Cindy. And the one thing, even whenever we first met, and then I went through the Evolution of Success stuff, and I think you just hit on there as well. One thing, you've always been really good at. I think one of the reasons why people relate to you so much is because you always are really good at being very open about whenever you step into your own fears. Like last Friday, you're like, I know we had a call the previous week and you were saying my talk just got cancelled, another talk just got cancelled. And this is whenever I was talking about the domino effect. And you were saying, and this is the point where, there's one thing that I love about you is that you sit in the same fear as everybody else does as well. Only you make the choice to step out of it, and also very distinctively instruct other people how to do it as well, and I think that is one thing that is really, really good.
Well, there's a favorite Napoleon Hill quote, and I put it in a lot of my presentations, and it's like, how many of us carry around the matches to burn down our own house? And at the end of the day, we all do, right? That negative self-chatter and the fear that bombards our minds, and all the it's all the what if thinking. What if this continues? What if our kids have to stay home when, we got to conduct our business at the house? What if we can't go back to work and we're in major financial crisis personally and with our businesses? And so it's all future thinking that creates that fear. So one thing that I really want people to think seriously about is when we get present, and I mean present of acknowledge your body and where you are right now. Like I'm sitting in my chair doing this interview with you, but really being present on, I'm safe right now. My children are safe right now. We are healthy right now. And I'm sure that's not true for everyone as we go through this crisis together. But, the key to moving forward in a strong way through this is understanding that we can't control this. And if we go into future thinking, and I've allowed myself to do this as well. I mean, I'm sure we all have, what if this continues for another 3-6 months, can we continue to do this and live this way? But at the end of the day, all I can control is right now in this very minute, and be present with where I am. And I'm healthy, and I'm safe, and I'm confident, and I'm strong, and I am now committed in my choice to really help other people embody their own internal strength. And I think it's really making a decision to become a leader in your own life. And a couple of things that I think just to think about are, beginning to take some bold action. We typically all want to play small, we want to put the covers over our head, but just being courageous and making a choice to figure out how we can pivot in our business, to take time to think right now. Because when we take that time to disconnect from, our business, or just carve out that hour for yourself to think about what could I do next to take the next step and to do the next right thing. And, really understanding that it's a time to embrace patience and compassion and empathy and understanding, because look, we've all been in conversations, I'm sure you have too, Matthew, where people have very different views of this. And their view is, I got into this the other day with a girlfriend, and her view is complete and utter solitude, period. And I'm engaged to be married, and my fiance drove here from Colorado to see me. Well, she didn't think that was a good choice. Well, I get it, but we're all entitled to make our choices. So, but understanding, and we have to be patient, that we all have to make decisions and make choices around this, and we're all going to see it in a little bit of a different way. And then, asking for help and guidance, because a lot of us just don't want to ask, but I've just gotten over that. I reach out to friends, I reach out to leaders. There's a lot of connection going on right now, and I say lean in and connect with people and ask for help and ask for guidance is just a really big deal. And then, just really thinking about, from a go-giver's perspective, who can you help serve? Because when we're giving to others, it's so fueling, and it takes that focus off us and helps disintegrate that fear when we're really showing up in service to someone else. So thinking about who might need your help right now.
Yeah, that's what I've been kind of doing that as well. I'm kind of the same, where our business has kind of ramped up, just with the nature of work that we do. We're very much online business. We have online clients. It has sort of went up, but I have had in my mind a lot of the people out there that are, beauticians and hairstylists and mechanics, and they're finding themselves at home at the minute with their families that they probably haven't spent that much time with ever. Do you know what I mean? Like, realistically, because they're maybe out working or whatever. And I have been thinking about those people a lot throughout this week, because I know so many of them and family members. And, it is going to be more difficult for that person, that doesn't feel that there is another option or another life for themselves outside what they currently know.
But the question becomes, is there another way? And I think for so many businesses, because we get in our own way of saying there's no other way, because the only way I know is the way I've been doing it, but that's where getting other people's input. I love, just even if it's just pulling groups of friends together and getting on a group call or FaceTime or getting on the Zoom platform to be able to see one another, but beginning to brainstorm. And because I get so much input from other people as to ways to conduct my business. I mean, I had 4 speaking engagements cancel in the matter of a week, and you stop to go, okay, well, now what? Well, it's one of my dear friends has a fitness studio in her home, and she trains people live in her home. Well, that's not feasible for her right now. So she has spent this whole week going, videotaping herself, her husband videotaping her, doing all these different exercises that she does, and she's training her clients virtually. And she literally has pulled that off in about a week and a half, and has taken all of her clients to a virtual model, and she's training them, live through Zoom virtually. And it's such a great thing, because that was a really big pivot move. And I get that there's some businesses that may not work for, but there's a lot of ways that we can conduct business that sometimes we don't think about, which is where getting input from other people and brainstorming new ideas, hopefully we all find some new ways to conduct business through this, because I'm certainly having to.
Yeah, no, look, on the last economic downturn, all my businesses and everything that, or all my financial, everything was in like bricks and mortar, it was either houses or I lost my job. And I didn't really I was one of those people that didn't have an option and end up on unemployment. But what I did during that time was, like, I upskilled. I learned new traits. I started to look in and say, okay, what do I love to do? So if you were to sort of, what is an exercise of maybe trying to figure out what your passion is, because that is something that I think will be really benefit to the majority of the people right now that maybe are looking and saying, okay, well, now I'm potentially looking into another career. What would you say to that person that has to just dig a bit deeper inside and look for to figure out what their passion is and something they could learn and upskill into right now?
Well, there's a couple of things. One of the exercises that I do with my clients, and I was just on a call yesterday with a new coaching client of mine, and I started with an exercise called Discover Your Why and Greatest Strengths. And it's really digging deep. And I'm talking about your inner core strengths, So I was working with him and he had a really hard time doing this exercise. And he's a leader and has a company. But I mean, I had him really dig deep as to what his three greatest strengths are, not in the context. And, one of his three greatest strengths was integrity. And I said, okay, well, that's awesome. But how does that make a difference in the lives of someone else? Or like, how does that help you with, with your clients and your referral partners? And what does integrity really mean? How does that really show up on a day-to-day? So I wanted to get him really thinking about what his core inner strengths were and what he had the gift of sharing. And so we talked about integrity creates trust. And how does that really show up in his business? So I would encourage people to think about what are your core three inner strengths? And I'll give you an example because I use this a lot when I'm talking to mortgage people. So for me, one of my core strengths is communication. I've got the ability to communicate, I think, effectively with other people, and I do that for a living. But when I was in the mortgage space, I thought, how can I use that gift of being a great communicator in a way that's going to serve people and turn it into a strong value proposition? So I thought, well, I communicate on 7 key milestones of the loan. So when the appraisal comes in, I communicate that to the borrower and to the realtors involved. And when the loan gets approved, I communicate that. And when the documents have been ordered, I communicate that. So I put together a 7-point communication plan so that when I was meeting with new potential clients, I would talk to the fact that, one of the beautiful things about my team is that, we have a 7-point communication plan. So you are going to be informed on every step of the process. And you're never going to have to call us to ask for status. So I turned a very simple thing like communication into a broader value proposition. So really thinking about, how you can turn your own genuine gifts into a stronger value proposition. And then if you have your own company, what is that company, regardless of the state of it right now, how could that company, what are the 3 greatest strengths of your company, whether that be you're a restaurant, owner and your restaurant is closed at the morning, but what is the greatest strength of your restaurant and what are your greatest gifts and what are your biggest value propositions to your customers? Because one thing I know for sure, we all have the ability to expand right now. And even if we can't go back to work today, we can create new opportunities so that we get ourselves prepared to when we go back to work and when the gates kind of open up, there's going to be this whole new appreciation for life, I believe. And I would imagine, Matthew, you probably feel exactly the same way. There's going to be this, oh my goodness, I go to the grocery store now. I am in such gratitude for the person selling me the groceries. I'm so grateful. Most of the time, you pop in, you get your groceries, you leave. I'm taking that moment to stop and thank these people for continuing to work and provide me with something that I need right now, which is nourishment. So I would encourage people to just get really clear on what their very genuine strengths and gifts are and how those gifts and strengths might be able to be utilized in a different way. And then just thinking about what you can do in terms of, again, your daily habits. One of the things, the way I start my day, I start it with 15 minutes of meditation every morning. And meditation, I know, is very difficult for many people, but Deepak Chopra and Oprah have their 21-day free meditation challenge that you can Google that and sign up for that, or I use the calm.com app. But to begin to do, 2 to 15 minutes of meditation each day does help calm down our cortisol levels and helps us stay calmer and helps us think more clearly. And just getting clear and taking that moment to breathe can help us come up with new ways and opportunities to fuel our business and our life as well.
Yeah, no, I think that is all really valuable stuff and practical stuff that people can actually do. One of my clients had been building her business, and her business was flying, absolutely flying. It was a semi-permanent makeup business and doing really well. And I had a call with her 2 Fridays ago, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, maybe just over a week and a half ago. And she was saying, look, I don't know what I'm going to do, And I said, look, like we went through then how we're just gonna. I said, like, what about bringing your stuff online? She's always wanted to bring her stuff online. She wanted to bring her stuff online. She acted so fast. She actually, the same company that give her accreditation for her school, that she teaches people how to carry out semi-permanent makeup, I would imagine, and then she got hers an online accreditation pretty much within a week. She's got that now, and her website's being edited at the minute, and she's now going into the next strategy of her business, which is going to be teaching these people online how to do it via Zoom, video calls, video stuff. And you know, there is things out there that you just mightn't even think about. It's like, what I also advise people is look at your skill set and see where else your skill set could be used. You know, if you're a chef right now, right, and you're out of work because your restaurant is closed, could you write a cookbook? Do you know, could you sit down and write 10 recipes, like a 15-minute meals or a vegan meals or vegetarian meals? You know, whatever your skill set is, there is something that you could do that could move your career forward. I believe, anyway.
100%. You know, one of my friends was she started doing videos in her kitchen because she has a catering business. And so she can't go into actually, she's a private chef. She goes into people's homes and cooks for them, which she cannot do right now. So she started doing videos, just setting up a little tripod in her kitchen and showing people how to make simple meals at home and starting to build a big following. So those kinds of things is being a little bit more creative, to your point, as to how you can use your current skill. Or maybe there's that thing you've always wanted to do and you've never had the time. So why not think about, is there something else that you've wanted to do, something else you've wanted to try, some information you've wanted to share? You know, it's such a big deal right now to be able to take that time. Or if you have wise thoughts that you think other people could really benefit from, or if you're getting wins in your own life and really sharing those wins with other people to empower other people to make those strong choices. You know, one thing I wanted to share is last Sunday, I think it must have come scrolled across Facebook, but Eckhart Tolle had a video that I listened to. And for those that may not know of Eckhart Tolle, he wrote The Power of Now, which is all about presence. Very, very powerful book. And he wrote A New Earth. But one of the things he talked about is your house built on sand or is your house built on rock? And the house is us, right? So it's like, is your house built on sand? Are you living your life right now on the surface of your life? And, you know, are you living in fear? Because that's a house built on sand. What we need to do right now is to really understand that we need to dig deeper within ourselves. And that's our own internal foundation that frees us from fear, that allows us to give way to new possibility, and to dig deeper to build this unshakable foundation. Because from that foundation comes opportunity. You know, we know that adversity gives us wonderful opportunity because it forces us to really kind of go deeper and to awaken to a deeper dimension of who we are. If we choose to do that, it gives us the opportunity to become stronger and to become a better version of ourselves. So, you know, I also think to and believe me, I've done this personally, is just to look at ourselves right now and say, how are we showing up? You know, are we showing up as the best version of ourselves for ourselves, for our family, for our business? You know, how are we showing up for our children during this challenging time? I mean, maybe we're getting very frustrated because we know throwing everybody together with their children 24/7 has some great blessings and opportunity, but also it can be extremely challenging. And then how are you showing up to support maybe your team members within your company? Going that extra mile to let people know how appreciated they are. I sent flowers to my new assistant yesterday because she worked all last weekend to help me bring a webinar to market. And she had just started for me. And after I told her she wouldn't have to work weekends, she ended up working the whole weekend to help me bring a webinar of information of hope to the financial industry last week. And I was so appreciative of her doing that to make a difference in the lives of others. So, you know, and how you're showing up to support your community. So just really digging deep within ourselves to build our own foundation and to rebuild our house on rock, which we will carry forward in when we get to the other side of this, because I believe this is a defining moment in our life. You know, I mean, my company is called The Defining Difference, but this is a defining moment that will have a lot to do with how we define our future based on how we choose to show up in this moment during this crisis together.
So, Cindy, I think that was a good way to sort of leave the podcast on. Definitely, I think that I'm really delighted and glad to have you on, and you just give so much value, and I'm really, really grateful for that. So, thank you so much, Cindy, for all of that. That was amazing.
Matthew, thank you for reaching out, and I just wish you so much, health, love, and wellness into your community. Stay strong.
Thanks, Cindy.